Hey YouTube. For this video, I wanted to revisit the topic of how to buy a used road bike. With this version, I want to make it a little bit more condensed. I feel like the first one drug on a little bit, so I'm going to try and make this one shorter. As well, I do have some updates for you guys. I have acquired another bike, so I'll go ahead and show that to you. And for those of you who haven't seen the first video, I'll bring you up to speed real quick. In that video, showed two bikes that I purchased used off my local classified ads. The first one was a 2006 Schwinn Fastback Comp with a Shimano 105 build, and I purchased that bike for $300. And the next one was a Kona Deluxe frame from 2005, built up with a mix of mostly SRAM Rival and Ultegra parts, and I purchased that one for $375. So both of those purchases were great deals. And now I'll go ahead and show you guys the new bike I purchased. Okay, so here it is. This is the latest used road bike deal that I was able to purchase off of my local classified ads. And this is a 2012 Specialized Ale Comp. I got a great deal on this bike. I only got it for $400. But I should note that the build, the way this bike is set up right now, is very different from the way I purchased it about a year ago. So I have heavily modified pretty much the entire build. So when I did buy it, it was pretty much just all the stock parts, and the only thing that was wrong with it was the rear wheel was so bent that it was unrideable. But I was able to just kind of assess the damage to the wheel, and I figured I could probably have it fixed for a pretty good price at my local bike shop, and they fixed it for me for only $9. So total the bike cost me $409. So I got this for a great deal. And so for the rest of this video, I kind of wanted to revisit some of the points that I talked about in my first video and touch up on those, as well as talk about a few additional things to think about when purchasing a used road bike. Okay, so now I just want to discuss some of the benefits of buying a used bike over a new one, as well as give you guys an overview of the process I go through when I'm purchasing a used road bike, as well as some tips that I've picked up along the way. So a lot of you guys maybe have come across this video because you're looking possibly to get into cycling or looking for a new bike, and you've been down to your local bike shop and you realize that it's really expensive to get into. And that's true. The entry-level bare bones Trek 1.1 or whatever similarly spec'd bike from another brand is going to run right around $800. And it's just in my opinion that at that budget, or possibly you can't work with even that at this point, you can find an even better bike or a great used bike for a lower price. And so the whole process I go through when I'm looking for a used road bike is I always look on classified advertisement websites like Craigslist. A lot of times local news stations or papers have classified advertisements on their page, as well as sometimes even local bike shops will have like a local classified section for people's used bicycles. So I check those pages, and I am ready to jump on a deal when I find one. And you have to be fast typically, just because I have come across bikes that I've been interested in, but I've been too slow and they've been purchased already. So people are out there looking for deals, and they usually go pretty quick. So you've got to know what your budget is and know kind of what you're looking for and be ready to jump on it when you see it. So when I actually go out and look at the bike, there's a few things I do. I mean, some of it's just common sense. I look at the bike to make sure it's in good condition. Does it look like it's in good condition? Is the frame clean? That's usually a good indicator of the person taking care of it. Is there any rust on any parts of the bike? That probably means that it's been kept outside, which can be very, very hard on bikes. So I just kind of look at the general quality of the bike, as well as I will always question the seller about the bike's history. And this brings up the topic of purchasing possibly stolen bikes, because that is a reality in the world of classified advertisements, is the selling of stolen property. So the best you can do with that is just make a judgment call at the seller. If they are meeting you in a back alley or behind a gas station, and are selling the bike for really cheap and are acting shady, it's probably stolen. But if they know the history of the bike, if they can tell you where it was purchased and just tell you about the bike, you're probably safe. So with this bike, for example, the kid's dad purchased it for him. He wanted to get into mountain biking, and his roommates had bent up the rear wheel, so he figured he was just selling this for parts. It wasn't rideable. And so looking at it and just kind of assessing the cost of fixing the wheel, decided that it was a great deal, and it really was, and I ended up purchasing it. Other things to look for when you're looking at the bike is just look for the initial cost, or the cost beyond the initial cost that it's going to cost you. So obviously it's a used bike, so there's going to be parts that are worn out. It's not brand new. So I check the wear that's on the tires, see how much life's left in the tires, if I'm going to have to replace them. I check brake pads, I check the bar tape, I check to see if the cassette looks really worn or if the chain rings look worn down, and I check just different maintenance issues. I spin the wheel, lift it up, look down, make sure that it's spinning true, and I check things like the bottom bracket bearings. I'll wiggle the bottom bracket up and down to make sure there's not play in there, to make sure the bearings are good. And I'll just generally check stuff like that, so you know that you're actually getting a deal, because sometimes if a lot of that stuff's worn out and needs to be replaced, that adds up fairly quickly for that kind of maintenance to be done down at the shop, so it may not actually be a deal. So for a lot of you who are just maybe getting into cycling, the question might be, well, I don't know that much about road bikes. How do I know what a deal is and what's not? And unfortunately, if you don't know much about it and you don't have a friend that can help you, you're just going to have to do a lot of research. Find out what parts are quality parts, and kind of what is a good price for different setups on different bikes. The best advice I have for that is, if you have a friend who's into cycling and knows a little bit, best case would just to be bring them with you and have them help you in making the decision. So this is just kind of the process I go through, and those are my tips. And just one other thing too I wanted to mention that I have noticed is, even if you're maybe looking for an upgrade or a high-end bike, in certain areas on certain classified sites, you can get incredible deals on very high-end bikes, like even up to like half off of like $5,000 bikes, for great deals. And I'm finding this just typically of maybe people with high-end careers who want to get into cycling, maybe, and they go all out in their purchase up front and decide they don't like it. Like the guy who buys a $5,000 Tarmac and rides it twice and then realizes he didn't use it and wants to sell it, and he has it listed for $2,000. So there is also, I haven't really messed around in that area just because I don't have that money right now, but there is a lot of really high-end bikes I've seen going for good deals still, even though they're going for a lot of money. So if you're in the market for an upgrade and you have a higher budget, I wouldn't discourage you from looking maybe in your classifieds for different options for those kind of bikes as well. So just want to wrap the video up. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave those below. I'm usually pretty quick to get back with you and pretty responsive. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, I am going to try to start posting more consistently. So I'd appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Thank you. Bye.